Works for the North Carolina DOT as the State Traffic Systems Operations Engineer. He leads three groups: the Traffic Operations, which is responsible for freeway operations and its functions of incident management, traffic management centers, traveler information, and ITS operations. The second is the Signal System Timing and Operations Group, which is responsible for arterial operations. And thirdly, the Transportation Systems Management and Operations Planning Group, better known nationally now, TSMO programs, which a lot of you have involvement as well. DOM section has piloted technology supporting a variety of everyday accounts initiatives, including emergency vehicle alerts, debris removal tools, synchronized lighting, and which are applicable today. And he is going to talk again, our second presenter, on tethered drones. With that, welcome, Dom.
Thanks, Jim. And sorry for using the term tethered, but I'm going to keep using it. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So
it was drone that it's not tethered. That's the problem for us at Federal Highway. You can do whatever you want.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You hit the next slide, please. I do want to thank Paul. I'm probably going to reach out to you with regard to your photokite tips, especially with regard to the remote operating, because I know that beyond line of sight, piece from the federal FAA that recently came out talking about beyond line of sight. I'd be interested to get your feedback. Well, I'll reach out to you later.
Great.
So, like Adam talked, we use stick grant as well to fund our Tethered drone program a few years back. We bought a couple drones with them. With photokite was one of them. And then we did a low bid through Drone Supply. We've got a Mavic 2 with a V-line tether. Not really the preferred solution, barely ever got used, but the photokite is what we're going to focus on today. Same reasons, high loader time, minimal operations, 150-foot AGL is really good to see traffic and to manage queues, and then being able to push that into the TMC has been one of the big reasons why we went with the tethered drone. The other part of it too is that we had a really good collaboration with the Division of Aviation. They helped us a lot with regard to training, testing, coming up with different techniques and tactics and how to use it. So they were very helpful throughout the entire process, mainly because they had the plug-in with FAA. Next slide, please. So the use cases were very similar to what Adam has already discussed. Where there's limited CCTV coverage, we're focusing on interstate incidents, especially where we don't have those cameras. We were deploying these via the supervisor would take them out to be able to deploy versus giving them to every driver. Basically, making it a regional kind of deployment as well. And the other point I do want to make on this one is that we did come up with some checklists that if you guys were ever looking to, before putting your drone in operation, either like a Mavic kind of drone or with the photokite, we had specific checklists. And again, one of the reasons why we didn't like the Mavic was the checklist was a lot longer and more complex because of the different pieces of parts. It wasn't an integrated system. It was more of a Frankenstein kind of system. But the photokite was very easy to implement and to keep it maintained. And go ahead, next slide. So what I really want to focus on is our use case that we recently had about a year ago, and this was to support a tropical storm. So that storm, hit around August timeframe last year, brought typical amount of rain with a tropical storm, between 10 to 15 inches of rain. They dropped on that corridor where I-95 goes north and south of North Carolina, between South Carolina and Virginia. And with that storm came a lot of flash flooding and river flooding potential that came with it. Hit the next slide, please. So that little map you saw from National Weather Center, where you look at the amount of precipitation that we got in those different locations, what that equates to, is it hit the next animation, is that many road closures. It was about 238 road closures that happened over the course of 3 days. And, that's, again, a typical tropical storm can have an impact as it comes through North Carolina. And we have to manage the traffic as they go around. We have to provide the detours, provide messaging, provide a lot of different things in order to keep motorists moving and help the emergency responders going into those impacted areas. Hit the next one. So like Adam mentioned, your problem is rural areas where you don't have a lot of devices. The picture on the left is, I'll get that one in a second. The picture on the right is, you can see the little squares above and below the red circle. Those are our overhead message boards. It's hard to see, but up in the top left and the bottom right of that circle, you can see some of those little blue cameras. And then that red circle has nothing inside of it. So basically, we have no message boards and we have no cameras in that rural corridor. And it's a 4-lane, full control access freeway. So the other part to it is we've recently developed a fantastic relationship with hydraulics, which is one of the units we have in our department, and they do a lot of flood monitoring and predictions and forecasting with regard to impacts to the storms, either through surge or through rainfall or through river flooding. So with this specific area where we had no devices, they did have some devices. They had devices on bridges and they had devices that were monitoring the flooding that was happening in the nearby swamps. Go ahead, next slide. So this is their tool. Is they have a couple different things. They have something called Bridge Watch. They have something called Fireman T. The pictures that you can see are the actual the flood gauges that they were using that were predicting the water as it was coming. And then the yellow, red, and purple lines are the important lines that you're looking at. So as that water line starts to go up, hits a couple different levels of those bridges. That first line is it's freeboard. It means you're getting kind of close to the steel on the bridge, but you're not quite there yet. The red line is you're touching steel. It's the bottom of the steel, but you're touching steel. And that purple line is overtopping of a road. So when you're talking about overtopping a full control access freeway, you got some problems. And when we're looking at this flooding, some of the predictions were showing that it was getting closer to overtopping. And we were monitoring this very closely because as soon as you have flooding on a freeway, you can have some serious crashes if you're not, shutting things down or doing the right things. You can go from, failure of the bridge to, vehicles crashing because of the water on the overtop structure. Go ahead, next one. Go ahead and click the animation on the drone. Yeah. So what we ended up doing was we deployed our tethered drone. This is one of our use cases that we ended up having to be able to monitor specific things that were happening. So that was the river that you saw where that red circle was, and where it was actually at that red line. So using the tethered drone, we were able to validate that the flood gauges were correct, that the bridge gauges were correct, that the water was at the low chord of the touching steel on that bridge. And then that little truck you see on the right, that was a maintenance guy he was watching as well, and he was calling his supervisor, telling him, hey, listen, the water's here. And we were able to show the hydraulics folks that here's what the river is looking like that's going through the structure. And we were able to make determinations from the office about this specific event and what we should do with these bridges. So an IMAP driver, which is our safety service patrol, he drove out there and he deployed the drone and was able to provide that image back via the typical QR code to us. And we shared that QR code. At the same time, we were doing a border transportation meeting, and it was their highways meeting. They put this up on the screen so all of the division engineers and chief engineers and the different folks could see what was happening with this storm. Because of what we did, go ahead, click one slide or one animation. Because of this, that the chief and division of the division of aviation and a lot of different folks saw the impact of what the drone was able to do and provide, and to give us indication of whether or not that bridge was in peril. They decided we need to get more of these things out in the field in more locations. So they've given us funding now to purchase additional drones, up to like $300,000 worth of these tethered drones to put out into more of the regions, so we can help support better support during these storms. So the other thing that we were doing, our TMCs were actively planning a detour in case this did overtop. And luckily it didn't overtop, and we didn't have those impacts to the bridge that we were expecting. But the bottom line is, where you look at tethered drones that support incidents or support special events, this is the impact that it was able to provide our folks in the field. They were able to evaluate these things prior to it actually failing in the field. So that's all I got. And I'm standing by for any questions if you have any. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. What I'm going to do now is for Jonathan, I have a couple canned questions here for you, Jonathan, and then I'll give one to the sergeant, to the master sergeant. First, for you, Jonathan, what is your timeline for deployment of the smart lighting for the 28 incident management vehicles and the 188 SSP fleet vehicles?
Well, currently we're working on just trying to get the first part of this going as far as the build side. We are very close to 50% on the IMC fleet for the agency side IMCs, and we have not moved forward or made any decisions to activate anything with the SSP trucks at this current moment. And I just want to put it out there that the VDOT and the TIM contractors, they lack the codified responder designation when it comes to sovereign immunities, and it cannot legally be delegated or assigned. So basically, they well, it's well, that's about how it works. We haven't really moved forward. We're working on that piece of it. We haven't have not given a solid date yet to even go live with the red secondaries at all at this moment.
Okay, well, we'll stay in touch with you, get more information at a later point as well. I have another quick question for you. What challenges, if any, do you face in retrofitting the vehicles with the technology, the smart lighting technology?
It's a very based on the IMC fleet's a very diverse fleet. There's a whole bunch of different models of vehicles, and it's made it a real challenge
Sure.
to work through a vehicle that has already been upfitted before, having to chase down wiring and try to make sure everything works. And it's a lot easier to start out with a clean, brand new vehicle with nothing in it that's just completely upfitted from start to finish. So
Yeah,
that's been one of the biggest challenges.
yes, sir. Thank you. And it makes perfect sense. Question for you, Thomas. You have been sharing the principles of smart lighting and its value through print, conferences, and one-on-one. What advice might you offer to an agency that's trying to bring smart lighting to its fleet?
It's a good question. I think the biggest impact that I've been able to see is bringing in a vehicle to showcase it, right? So, like we can all talk about it, but we had that presentation we did up last year, right up in Chicago area, and we were
Mhm.
able to get some administrators and end users there and showcase different vehicle setups. And the proof is in the pudding when you see it in person, when you can actually experience the different flash patterns, see the difference of a full power versus a low power light at night. Um, See especially workers, right? If we simulated workers next to flashing lights, and you could say, hey, this actually makes sense to spend extra money um, on our new vehicles or retrofit existing vehicles to actually experience that in person. So if an agency is looking to do that, if you have an agency in the town next to you that's got a smart a vehicle with an advanced lighting system, having them come demo it to you, whoever's going to be paying the bills and making the decisions there to go with it. That's the first start, because once you see it, everyone, the light, if you will, clicks, and people see that it's worth the investment. And then from there, if you need the extra help with research studies to show why this is actually there, there's actually been science done on it that supports the smart lighting acronym. That just so happened to be that we knew that Bulla was out there doing that type of stuff that supports it. Because sometimes agencies like to see, well, where's the science behind it, or is this true? And his car looks neat. Well, there's actually studies that show that. So that's a great place to start to move forward in the smart lighting realm.
Absolutely. You nailed it. I mean, uh, the buy-in from the decision makers to see it, feel it, touch it, and so on. That is so important. And it may sound like a no-brainer, but you need to, as I said earlier, as an influencer and leaders that I believe everyone on this webinar are or is, we need to share this data, share this information, and of course, you have all of us, Master Sergeant Brengel and Jonathan in my office and Dr. Bullock. Now you have the resources to try to make a difference with lighting in your state, your jurisdiction, your agency, et cetera. So Thank you again to Jonathan Meeks with VDOT and Master Sergeant Thomas Brengel with Illinois State Police. Quick question for Adam has moved on. So this question is for Paul Yamashita. Can you share how Caltrans uses these drones more routinely for TIM?
So we don't have a set and operating procedure to deploy the drones. We have 3 now within the state. Like I said, they are cellular based automatically, so it can live stream. But we had a number of lithium ion fires that we were told that this would have been very helpful, because in the areas that the fires were at, we do not have any kind of CCTV camera or communication. So now that we know that they work with Starlink, I'm hoping to get a mobile Starlink unit to test it out in remote areas where there is no cellular coverage. We don't use the drones so much for traffic queuing, as Caltrans has what's called Quick Map, which will show us what the queuing looks like. Ours is mainly more for, like you were talking about, Jim, is the TIM side, as to where is the incident, what lanes are blocked, and at that time, where are we as far as in the clearance? How close are we, or things like that. That's how we're deploying it.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Question for Dom. How has training on the use of tethered drone gone? Any tips or lessons learned?
Yeah, the biggest tip is stay away from those Part 107, 108 certifications. If you don't want to, redirect your folks from learning, both their skill set in the Safety Service Patrol as well as trying to maintain their certification. That's why we went with the tethered drone, and that's why we used aviation to really help us out with regard to crafting what those need to be. So once we wrote those checklists down and how to operate it, it became very easy to operate that photokite. The Mavic became very problematic and people couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure out how to share. We were trying to use Teams to use it. So that one kind of sat in the closet, not knowing anything, but the photokite is what really shined, is because it required very little training. It was, you press your button, it goes up in the air, you connect with the iPad, and then you're flying and you're good to go. And they can walk away and work on the incident. So with regard to training, when you're not doing the Part 107 and Part 108 certifications, stick with what's easy. That's why the tethered system worked for us, specifically the fully integrated photokite system.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for sharing that. And last question, back to Dwayne real quick. Dwayne, what is the sentiment from state police?
Actually, they like it. At first it was like, they could take it or leave it. But just in the past week, I've talked to a couple of the crew guys and their program manager. They are pleased. They are cutting their time out on the road significantly. I don't have the data that supports that, as far as, it's probably going to take at least probably another year. But talking to the crew members, it is successful and they're happy to use it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the point about the data, however you say it, it's important for this technology and all the technologies under the Everyday Count 7 program that we engaged in, whether it be debris removal systems or advanced warning, UAS, emergency vehicle preemption, the smart emergency vehicle lighting, etc. Please continue to collect and capture the data, because we will revisit these later on in the coming years. So next slide. I'd like to Kyla, next slide. Okay. These 10 resources are available to you all. I won't read them all to you. Just take advantage of them. The recording of this webinar will be available through the NOCO website within the next week or less, I'm pretty sure. And I'd like to thank our presenters, all 6 of our presenters, Captain, I just promoted you, Thomas. Master Sergeant Thomas Brengel from ISP, Jonathan Meeks from VDOT, of course, Dom Ciaramitaro, Paul Yamashita, and Dwayne Day, as well as Adam Perez. All of you, many thanks. And we shall see you next month. Keep doing great things, as I always like to say. God bless and bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.